Rolling. Alright. Peace out, Joey. Grabbing some lemon balm to smell on the road. Smells good. I think I inhaled some of my breakfast this morning, so I've been trying to clear that out of my throat for a while now. Either that or perhaps I am getting sick, who knows? Ooh, there's some pollen. Is that pollen? Ooh, wow, yeah, that's pollen. Yeah, maybe it's just pollen. That's a lot of pollen. I'm looking at my truck right now. There is certainly a dusting of pollen all over it. P-O-L-L-E-N. Pollen. Spelled that in pollen on my truck. On the window. Just to prove that that's what that is. Interesting. Well, I slept outside in it. So I guess I'm probably better suited to deal with it. I'm certainly inoculating myself. It is Monday, March 25th. For those keeping track, that means 5 days until I leave for the trail. Unbelievable. It's truly unbelievable. It's funny, it's to say the word unbelievable isn't all that illuminating of a phrase. It's not very descriptive, and it can be used to describe a lot of things. So the power of its ability to categorize an experience is pretty broad. But every single time I say it, when I'm thinking about what's about to happen, it's like saying it for the first time, because it's just like, wow, this is really unbelievable that this is actually going to happen 5 days from now. I've been saying for so long, all I need to do is show up now, and that's still the case. All I have to do is show up in 5 days, and then I'm there. The journey begins. Season 2 begins. All this prequel stuff is over. It's 9:45. Heading once again to the unfinished Beltline. A few people out on this Monday morning. Man, there's a lot of pollen out. Looking at everyone's car, there's like a green sheen on most of the surfaces of most cars. I remember biking in pollen season. It's the only time of the year that I would actually have to wear glasses, because otherwise I'd come back or, go for a ride on my bike, and once that was over, if I accidentally scratched my eyes or rubbed them or anything, even if I didn't, there's just so much pollen that I would have the reddest, itchiest eyes. It was so uncomfortable. So perhaps that's going on. It's definitely beneficial that it's supposed to rain today. That'll help to clear out some of the pollen. And I have my tent set up outside. Slept outside again last night. I'll probably just go ahead and do that every night until I leave. And I was hoping it would rain last night, because I haven't been inside of that tent when it rains yet, and I want to be able to make sure that everything works and that I stay dry. Alright, looks like I want to make sure we're still recording. Good. So, yeah, no rain last night. Pretty comfortable sleep. Even better, I would say, than the night before. It didn't hurt that I'd gone for a 20-mile walk. It definitely was exhausting. Coming up to that gate once more, and I can tell from here that it's in a configuration that means someone went through it incorrectly. They pulled it. It's not supposed to be pulled. So people just cannot handle a swinging door. It's just too much for them. So, I'm on the unfinished Beltline. And man, what a show yesterday it was. I should say quickly here before I recount yesterday. I'm on my way to meet Lindsay Glass at Joe's for coffee at 10:30. So, I'm en route for that. I budgeted 45 minutes to go like 2.5 miles. So, should be there right on time. But yesterday, man, it was crazy. I recorded, obviously, the bonus clip, part B, which part A was actually so long that I had to edit it on my computer and resample it at a lower bit rate so that it wouldn't exceed the maximum amount of megabytes that a clip can be. Apparently, I didn't realize this beforehand, but the the audio clips can't be more than 50 megabytes when you upload them to the YouTube processor website. So the one that I made yesterday, the first clip, was like over an hour, and you roughly have 1 megabyte for every minute when you're sampling it. Like, I think I was either 128 kilobits per second or 192. I don't really remember. But in any case, I had to resample that. And man, there was just so much that happened yesterday that was so crazy. It felt like a special day. There was approaching 600 people out on the Beltline on mountain bikes and stuff. Certainly had to be a lot of people from other parts of Georgia, not strictly Atlantans, because I didn't see very many familiar people at all. And there were a lot of nice bikes out. A lot of people who obviously like biking were out. And as I watched all of them go by, it's just like, man, that bike is so nice that if someone owns that and they live in the city, that means that they like bikes enough to pay for a $5,000 titanium bike. So surely I will have seen them out and around somewhere. But such was not the case. A lot of strangers out. And having run into Angel, who enlightened me on like how to actually take the official Beltline Trail, that was really fun. That felt like a special thing all for me. You know, a delicious cheese pizza just for me. Like Kevin McAllister once cautioned America in Home Alone. I was out on this unfinished Beltline Trail that no one was on. Active trail, or active rails. That's the second time I said active trails. Active rails, so trains going by, people like that I had to feel kind of wary of. There was this weird guy who was on top of the Peachtree Bridge above the tracks that I was on, and I saw him as I approached pretty early on after having gotten on the active trails, and he had like a walkie-talkie and a hat that had some sort of text on it, and I thought it might say CSX. So when I was approaching the bridge, I was looking at this guy, and I actually got off the railroad tracks so that I could go up the bridge and kind of scope him out, because I was like, if this guy is radioing back to his CSX employees about me being on the tracks, then I want to get off the tracks as soon as possible and make that distinction. Got someone coming up. Audio tour. Morning. Man, I do think it's the pollen in the air. Man, even though I slept outside, I think the pollen might be too big to fit through my rain fly and the netting on my tent. So I might have been exposed to a minimal amount. But anyway, it's supposed to rain around 2. So sometime during this walk, I imagine the effects will lessen. And in any case, what can you do? I guess that means spring is here. So anyway, I was able to go up to this guy who was watching over this bridge, but he had a camera, so I was like, maybe this is one of those weirdo train enthusiasts. And so I was like, are you waiting for the train? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, do you happen to know like what kind of schedule it's on? And he's like, what do you mean? This guy was giving me some serious attitude, and I think he was on the spectrum. He looked like he was close to 50. Just a weird guy. But I was like, well, I just came from these tracks that you're looking at, and there's a train stopped like a mile up the tracks, headed, I guess, what would be west. So you're looking west, and so if you're waiting for the train, it's not going to come. It's already been here. But he might have known something more than I did. In terms of like, I don't know. I'm guessing he had a walkie-talkie because he was like listening to the train's CB radio or something. And so he probably had updates from the actual conductors and probably knew what he was doing. And for all I know, they might have been building that train. I have no idea. But being on the unfinished Beltline was really exciting, very scary. I just felt on guard the whole time. I listened to music and podcasts the whole time I was out there, which was probably over an hour and a half, and I was so focused and aware of my environment that I didn't hear a single word from the podcast, and I barely reacted at all to the music. There was a time when I was running from like truss to truss, or it's not really a truss, what is that thing? It's like a wooden, not the metal part of the train tracks, but the perpendicular wooden part, ties, I don't know what those are. I was just running from one of those to the next one, just so I could get out of plain sight, and apparently during that little run, I lost my water bottle, which is disappointing, because I did get off at a certain point of the tracks, because I saw a chevron, and I was like, alright, it's hot out here, I'm almost out of water. I don't like where these tracks are going. It ended up that they went over a bridge that crossed over north side, and if I had continued on the tracks, I probably would have, I would definitely have been visible to anyone on Peachtree at the time, and so that's no good. And so, yeah, filled up my water bottle with nice cold water at the Chevron, bought some fruit and nuts. It was like blanched almonds, other nuts, and raisins. It was good. It was very nutritious, for sure. Kept me at a good level. But when I returned to the tracks and started running again at certain points, I lost the bottle, which was a bummer. Because much like my second Sawyer filter, I never got a sip of that water before I lost the bottle. So that's just how it goes sometimes. Ended up later down the trail being given a can of carbonated water, which was very tasty, and I just kept the can and refilled it with water a couple times until I got home. But yeah, it was 20 miles, a lot of fun, and special. I don't think I could have been on the train tracks for maybe, I don't know, quarter to a half a mile more than I was if I had been brave from the start. But developing that bravery took a little while. I mean, I had to go through a hole in a fence behind a liquor store. That was like the beginning. And the first time I did, first you have to go down like a 12-foot embankment that is super steep. And then you have to cross over 5 active rails. And there was a CSX truck on the rails at the time, and the guy in the truck, I wasn't sure if he saw me the first time I went down, because there was a train going across the tracks and I didn't see him, but then I did see him, so I scurried back up the embankment and sat in the hole of his liquor store's fence watching him, and he crawled super slow across the tracks, and I wasn't sure if he was waiting for me to come back down, or I don't know if he saw me. I don't know if he'd care if he saw me. Angel had told me that the employees don't care about people being on the tracks, but I mean, I don't know how true that is necessarily. I mean, perhaps it's true for some, not so much for others. I mean, Angel is a conductor, so he's got experience, and I know he obviously probably encounters people on the tracks on a weekly basis, but he also sometimes is out there on those tracks, so he's a little bit biased. So I didn't want to assume that even though they have tons of no trespassing signs, that trespassing was actually tacitly okay. That was not something that I wanted to learn. Definitely didn't want to get arrested yesterday. And, especially considering like something like the Bellwood Quarry, which used to be accessible to anyone and everyone who wanted to like crawl over fences and, I don't know, technically trespass but not get in trouble for it. If you go there now, you do get arrested. And so things change over time. And so just because the official Beltline route has been successfully traversed in the past without consequence doesn't mean that it still can be done without, being arrested. So I was very wary of the whole thing because I was like, man, I'm not going to feel cool at all about this whole experience if it ends with me in handcuffs at the end of the day. And I have to I don't even know what the fucking protocol is for that. I don't know. Do I call Erica and ask her to come bail me out? Is that how that works? Do I dissolve into a mass of tears when I feel the handcuffs go across my wrists? I mean, I don't know how I would react, what my next plan would be. I mean, what if I was in jail for I don't know, a while? What if I had to go to court because it says on all the signs, violators will be prosecuted? It's like, well, shit, does that mean I can't go on the Appalachian Trail now because I have to go to a court date for trespassing? Or do I have to spend $5,000 to make this go away and then have that much less money in order to, do what I'm trying to do on the Appalachian Trail? It was stressful, but the stress made the whole thing more exciting, and nothing did happen, so it was all good. Live to fight another day, and I'm sure as time goes on, that section of the Beltline that I was on will become more and more accessible in a certain respect. Just like the Beltline that I'm on right now, it's super accessible now. But in the past, I'm not sure if there would have been consequences to go over here, ever. Certainly not anymore. Walk right past the workers nearly every day. No one seems to care. So, yeah, comfortable sleep. I had my head in the right position. It was warmer last night than it was the night before. I didn't even actually need my socks or my beanie. Started out with them both on and ended up taking them off. It's because it got so warm. It was just starting to rain a little bit. I think I just might have felt a drop. And I feel like I'm hearing little drops on the leaves of the trees next to me. It might just be the sound of my backpack swishing. Hard to say. Don't see any drops on the floor. On the ground, rather. A Bud Light can. I'll take that and throw it away. That's one thing about out-of-towners. They don't care about the environment because they're on their way out as soon as they arrive. So the littering isn't as consequential. But as we've discussed, as Brody Stevens rightly said, it's a sin. Littering is a sin. So after hanging out with Lindsay today, planning on walking over to Trader Joe's, seeing what they've got for foods. I'd really like to buy some ground pork, but I am also a little bit worried about having to carry that for an hour without refrigeration. Although as long as it's still packaged and not brutally sunny outside, and maybe if I buy some other frozen things, it'll be alright. I'll assess all that as it goes. We had some chicken last night, and it was good, but it certainly wasn't as good as beef. So I've been going to Kroger a lot recently. We'll figure out what other kind of options we have available at Trader Joe's. And there's only so many more dinners I need to make before I leave. The fridge is at such a bare bones level. I won't have any food left by the time I leave. Whatever's still available to be eaten, I'll take it with me. And the perishables, I think all those should be gone Friday night. And whatever else is left comes with me. It's crazy. So crazy. Absolutely crazy. I'm still following people on Instagram and YouTube who are a couple 150 miles ahead of me. Which I think they might be doing 75 miles a week or so. And I certainly plan on doing more than that. I need to be careful not to hurt myself, but as long as I listen to my body as much as I usually do, I think I'll be able to make it through. Man, I can smell like a smell that I associate with pollen. So I'm sure I'm not the only one out here hemming and hawing, as it were. Got off the Beltline a little early at the intersection of Vernon and Mercer. This will put me on track to be a little bit more directly on the way to Joe's, and it's a little bit less typical of a path than just staying on the Beltline and going all the way down to Glenwood. So novelty definitely has its place here. Man, it's going to take 6 months for me to get to become nostalgic for this. This is so familiar. Again, that's one thing I look forward to with the trail itself, is that every single day will be different. There's no out and backs. It's just out every day. Even if it's similar, it's not going to ever be the same. And I listened back to my clip yesterday because there was a tear that I was going down that was really digging, and I lost track of what I was talking about because some cyclists came up behind me and we started talking. But I was talking about Japanese. I was going over Takusan Hon, which I forgot to look up. I should write that down. Takusan Hon. Need to be careful not to make a clip that's too long. Takusan Hon. Alright, I'll look that up later and I'll get back to you if that's the kun or on reading and how it's actually pronounced when you say it out loud. Makes me kind of wonder if I don't know, if it has two pronunciations and you're reading it. I wonder what the most common one to say inside your own head is. I keep feeling like I'm hearing rain. I'm seeing some drops on cars, but it's certainly not really starting in earnest quite yet. Yeah, man. Erica and I had another kind of heart-to-heart conversation last night, which very quickly devolved into me talking at her once more. And I think overall it was productive, because it ended up with me just being like, look, I'm sorry again that I'm probably just projecting everything I'm feeling onto you, but at the very least, I want you to think about something that you want to do that would make you happier. Move to New York or whatever. The conversation was fairly personal and in the interest of her privacy, because I know she doesn't want to have her business, her dirty laundry aired out, and to make me sound like a nicer person than I might otherwise appear. Details will be omitted, but suffice it to say, it felt like a net neutral at worst. So hey, 5-year relationship, you're walking away from something with a net neutral. I'd say that's a victory. I can't believe my friend Josh has been with his girlfriend for 10 years. I didn't really realize that. He told me a week ago today, in fact. He told me that I thought Erica and I had been together for as long as Josh and Nikki had been together. And I was like, what, have you guys been here like together for like 5 or 6 years? He was like 10. And I was like, damn, that's crazy. 10 years, a decade, a third of your life. A third of your life has been with this person. That's insane, man. That's, I think that's longer than he and I were friends when we were at our most active friendship level. I don't think it was 10 years before we went our separate ways. We met in 7th grade. How old would I have been? 13 or 14, maybe. We only had a couple good years, in fact. So damn, he definitely knows her better than he knows me, especially these days. That's crazy. So, yeah. Today, in fact, I need to text Noah, talk to him about seeing him tomorrow. Got a pretty full week. I think I've already gone over it. But this is day 1 of the last 5 episodes of this series, the prequel series. And then the Appalachian Trail will begin March 30th. A new playlist will appear on YouTube. And for those who don't want to hear me basically say the same thing 30 times over the course of roughly 20 to 30 hours, the real stuff begins that day. No longer are these clips just called March. They take a new form. They're called Appalachian Trail, which signals the new playlist to auto-sort the clips that I make. So I'm excited. It's going to be cool in terms of a content creator to see that thing flip over, and I have to make a recording for the podcast, the Trek podcast, the night before, which I should certainly have a felicity to make at this point, since I've been talking to myself so much. I don't know if I've even made a clip since March started for the show, although I guess I probably did do the wild card episode, but that was only like a few days into March. I'm not at the towering position that I currently am at. I'm at a roundabout at Fig Tree. That's where Noah used to live, in fact. That's probably why I just thought of him. Burn Street Traffic Circle, revised 2006. Yeah, the fig tree. It's got little baby figs on it. That's cute. Damn. I should send a picture of that and wonder if Noah would even know what it is. Alright, I'm going to take a picture of this. And, damn, I guess I'll get back to you tomorrow. Yeah, at that point it'll be 4 days till D-Day. So, I will talk to you then. Bye.